Okay, so I think it's time to tackle these fantastic puzzles here. Muhammad Badi's 2x3x4 ghost cubes and all of its three variations. The jade, the diamond, and the ruby. Or we can look at it as the heaven, the hell, and purgatory. Well, I think this is probably even more of a deeper layer of hell, because I hear it's pretty hard. So why don't we start off with what's probably the easiest one, which is the jade one. So this is more the classic look to it, and it's basically ghosted from the top to the bottom, from the first layer. So I think what I might do is use this 2x3x4 straight puzzle just kind of as a guide to kind of help us get a perspective while I start to scramble and attempt to solve. Just, whoa, bring this down here. Okay, so why would this be so much more difficult aside from the perspective? Well, the thing about a puzzle like this, and something that I've got to bear in mind, is if I scramble this, if I start in this configuration and scramble it, there's no guarantee that when I solve it that it's going to be in exactly the same configuration, and that's because these two centers, they're equivalent to each other. They can swap and you wouldn't know the difference and it wouldn't really matter. So this actually has a couple of different solutions where these two are swapped and these two are swapped, and that's because they have equivalency between each other. They have equivalency of rotation, which means they can be rotated, and equivalency of translation, which means you can translate one piece into another and it will look exactly the same. So it doesn't really matter if they're rotated or if they're swapped, because it will still look the same. So there isn't really one solution to it, there's actually a couple. In this puzzle, if I look at the equivalent to these pieces here, which would be, I suppose, these pieces here, you can see they're not the same. They don't have rotational equivalency and they don't have translational equivalency. I can't swap them and it would look the same, which means there's that extra bit of challenge, and that's something that I have to bear in mind when I think about the algorithms to this. So we can start off with a scramble of this and see, just kind of refresh our memories what this looks like. Being a brick cuboid, it has certain limitations. So I can, if I take something of one parity and turn it into a layer of the same parity, I can do 90-degree turns and then continue turning. But if I take an opposite parity, like an even with an odd, and I make a turn, it doesn't fit. So the first way to scramble this is just to do 180-degree turns so I can separate all layers from each other. So no specific pattern to it, just try to make sure that I have what looks like as full and complete a scramble as possible. Okay. Just to make sure I get all of the challenges that I want, whoa, try to make sure there's no pattern to it. So I can move this to here. And I can go like so, and I can maybe do this, and go like thus. Okay, and then continue the process of scrambling. So these are 90-degree turns now, and I can go through that same process. So this will hopefully help kind of guide me. Okay, not bad. I think we got it. And not bad. Okay, if I really want to make it look funny, I can go like this. Okay, so there it is, scrambled puzzle. So to do something similar, first I have to take it out of ghost form. So let's see. This is 4 layers deep over here. This is 2 layers. So let's match up our 2's with our 2's, and it's certainly challenging to figure out. It looks like this may be 2 layer over here. So if I turn it like this, yep, this turns over here. But okay, good. So this is our 4 layer here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'd start off with 180-degree scrambles. Here we go. No turning back in a little bit. So double turn. Now, I'm never sure how delicate this puzzle is, so I'm going to be very cautious as I turn it. It's good here. Movement is quite smooth. But I don't want to get too confident. Okay, there. And I can turn these terminal ends over here too. Some more 180-degree turns here. Just like so. Very cautiously. Okay, so I think I'm getting a good idea of the structure right now. So this is 3 layers deep. I'm still doing 180-degree turns because, well, I gotta make sure that I can scramble it as completely as I can. Now remember when the 2x3x4 first came out, it had this really weird and annoying bandaging. And I did a tutorial on how to take that bandaging out if I had to take it apart. Oop. Careful, this puzzle loves to move. Very, very smooth. Really minimal lubrication. Okay. Now I'm going to do a little something here. Whoops, whew. UI, 2L. Turn this like so. What is he doing? Well, what I'm doing is trying to make it very challenging. And turn. Okay, I think I've started to do my other scramble here. Okay. So now we're going to do 90-degree turns. Okay, got to make sure that I'm not too clunky here. So already you can see I look pretty hopelessly scrambled. So I'm going to take away any associations of any of these pieces to enhance this challenge. Got to be careful. Again, I don't want to challenge the motion too much. Because there's tiny little screws in here. Okay, that's looking pretty good, I think. Okay, we good? Yeah, we're good. Okay, so there it is. This is this version that's scrambled. So where do I even begin? Well, what I can do is I can start off to see how I coordinated this puzzle. The first thing that I do with the 2x3x4, and if you've got one of these, you can certainly follow along, is I get the middle areas. And it's easy to visualize because I have perfect visualization. So here's red and green. So this is going to be the red and blue. Find the red and blue. It's right over here. So move it to the other side here, put it here, and there it is. So this is going to be automatically in, but I want the other green one here, in this case green and orange, and splat. Okay, so here's the middle layer, and that's the first part of it. The key here is I want to unbandage this puzzle so that I have it looking like that brick cuboid, the brick cuboid look. Okay, so here's the center, and I'm going to do something very similar, but I can't do it based on the middle, I can't do it based on the colors, it's got to be based on the shape. And these shape is going to fit flush. So what are the centers and what are the, well, the edges here? Gosh, good question. So perhaps these are the edges and these are the centers? Is that how that's going to work? If that's the case, then I'm going to try to find ones that match together. So I'm going to put this here. This doesn't match. So it's got to be somewhere here. So let's go ahead and turn this and turn this in. Okay, so it was inevitable these two match together, which means these two match together. So I'm going to say that, yeah, that makes sense because we have 2 here, then 2 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got these two in, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the centers, and these are the edges. I think, or alternatively, these could be the edges and these could be the centers. 1, 2, 3. I don't think so, because if I turn it like this, it only turns in one axis. Here, I can see all the axes that it turns. If I look at here, it doesn't turn on this axis. So I'm going to say this is, got myself lost in it. Okay, this is truly right, because I can see that if this were freed up, these can all move. Now these aren't right, and that's okay, because these aren't correct either. I could see if I could match any of these up, which means I could move this like so. And these line up here, and these line up here. So you see a discoordination between the centers and between these edges. These centers are matching, and these edges are matching. But I'm not going to worry about that yet. Now I don't know if this is coordinated right. I might have done this. So you can see that that's upside down. I don't really know, because these are isolated from each other. Rather, yeah. These are isolated from each other. So I don't know if it goes like this or like this. Which one is it? I guess I could surmise it to say that, well, if these two are in, then maybe all I have to do is this turns into here, but I can't. It's bandaged. So what that means is I'm just going to have to start reducing the layers here. Now normally what I would do in this puzzle is I would look and I would see, okay, I've got two whites, I've got an orange. Is the white one on top? Well, let's match it up. I put this here and I see that it's not, because this white matches with this red, which matches to here. So I know that this must be an orange. Yellow rather. So if I match this yellow up, you can see yellow, orange, and blue. So I know that all of these are going to be orange, rather yellow corners. So find the other ones. Here's the other yellow. I'm looking for the yellow and blue, which is right here. So to move this into here, I move it opposite, and I'm going to do my sliding U technique, which means I slide it into the position that I want it. Well, move it into the position that I want it, slide the U to the other side, then double turn it away. Slide it back, double turn, slide it back here, double turn, and back here. So these two are in. Find the other yellows. This is one here, yellow, green, and red. So that, this red belongs here. 2L, slide the U to the right. 2R, slide the U back to the left, bring this back, slide it back here, bring this back, and boom. Okay, so now this is in. The remaining orange is right here, so I'm going to slide this here. 2R to slide to bring it here. Slide the U to here. 2L here. Okay, so in this way, I managed to put this in. So I got to do something similar. Now notice this is out and these are out here, but it doesn't matter. I just want these two to match. So what I'm going to look for is, assuming that this is, I've kind of unbandaged the middle, I don't know which of these corners belong here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start matching corners and pairing them next to each other. And this is where the corner is supposed to be. So what would pair with this? Well, it's not this. I don't think it's this. It might be, but let's see what's on the bottom here that might pair. Will this pair? Well, let's double turn and find out. So double turn. And no. Oop. Actually, I was looking at this one. So with this pair, so just move it to the side, double turn, and no. I notice these two pair, so that's something. The only issue is that this is rotated wrong, but I know this pairs with this, these two pair. So let's move this in the proper corner position. Oh, never mind. I fooled myself because I thought this is an edge, not a corner. So I'm looking for corners. So how about this one? Let's move this here. Does this pair with this? So let's find out. I'm going to very carefully position this. There we go. 1, 2, and yes. So I'm going to continue the sliding U technique. So I turn it from the right, slide it to the left, turn it from the left. slide it back to the right, double turn on the right, slide it back to the left, turn on the left, and you can see these are in. So now this part is unbandaged. I've got to do the same thing here. Now these two don't belong next to each other, but they are properly sort of placed at the corners. So what I can do is move one that's properly placed up here. Now I don't know that these two belong in the same area of this. I don't really know. So I'm going to move this part down. Double turn this. And then move this back. 1, 2. Okay. So you can see this has been unbandaged. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have not unbandaged this, but we're going to get to that. Although it's unbandaged, whoop, nice. It's unbandaged. I'd like to be able to match up proper ones here. Now I can tell this is not flat like this is. So I would say this, if anything belongs with this, it might be more like this guy over here. But what belongs next to these? Well, I would lay odds this belongs over here next to it. And I think maybe this belongs next to this one. So let's find out. I'm just going to move it in on this side just to check it out. And yes, this fits very nicely. So let's move this back here. So let's sliding U technique this guy. Okay, move it across from where it needs to be, which is right here. Okay, so 2R, slide it to the left, 2L, slide it back to the right, 2R, slide it back to the left, and 2L. Okay, so we can see that we've unbandaged this side. So now we need to unbandage the rest. And the way this works is you're always going to have two that are in, like these two, and two that are not. So these two are not in, so we're going to do a adjacent edge, adjacent corner swap. And that's going to be holding it to the right front and right back. 2R U, 2R UI, 2R, UID, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, move back, and we have a completely unbandaged puzzle. We just have to start solving this. So coming back to here, so the way that this would look here is as I look to here, I can see these two are in and they're together. These two are not. So this is a situation where this is a layer, this is a layer. These two are blocking, they have to be swapped. So I hold it over here and I got to swap these two in order to unbandage that. It's the same situation that was here. So hold it to the front and to the back and do 2R U, 2R UI, 2R, UI D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, and 2R. And this moves back. Okay, so now you can see these edges are lined up. Now I don't know if they truly go with each other. These two might not belong with each other. These two might not belong with each other either. But we can see that all of these should be unbandaged. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So we have the equivalent of something like this, but it's all messed up in terms of edges. So what's the next step that I do? Well, the next step is we want to put our corners in here. Our centers are fairly straightforward, at least in this puzzle. So to put these corners in, I can see that I've got a white and orange. Find the other white and orange, which is here, and I want to move this to this side here. So I'm going to double turn it, move it in, and double turn it back. So this is in, and the whole key now is see how many of these we can put in. I have 1 in and 3 that are out. My goal is try to put at least 1 in of every edge. So what I mean by that is these both are in. Do we have another yellow and orange? And we don't. The yellow and orange is here, so I can do an algorithm to swap these here to at least put one in. And that's called the URF algorithm. So I'm going to hold it here, and it's going to swap these guys by going a middle to U, to R, to F, then to U, and to F, to R, to U. Okay, one of these are put in, one of these are put in, and none of these are put in. So I need to put in a white and red. So I'm going to move this one in. Now when I do that, it's going to move this out, but it'll move that in. So at least one of each edge are going to be in. To U, to R, to F, to U, to F, to R, to U. So what I have is I have one in, and then I've got one of each of the remaining three in and one that's out. Now, just for the sake of demonstration, the way that I deal with these is a similar algorithm. That URF algorithm that I just showed is the even layer version, where I can split in the middle and split over here. But there's an odd layer version where I can't split it in the middle. So if I wanted to swap these two, I go to U, to R, then a deep to F, then another to U, then reverse it, to F, to R, to U, to F. Now, it swapped these two, but it also swapped these two. So now I got to do the same algorithm, but just on a more superficial cut. So to U, to R, to F, to U, to F, to R, to U, to F, and you can see these are swapped. Now, it did do some things here, but we won't worry about that now. If I wanted to put this in, same thing. To U, to R, to F, to U, to F, to R, to U, to F. Do it immediately here for the superficial layer because it brought it to here. To U, to R, to F, to U, to F, to R, to U, to F. Okay, so this is typical cuboid strategy. It did have some affectations over here, but I'm going to leave this for now. Okay, now I could try to get all these centers in, or I could just try to put all of these in and deal with the centers later. What would be the best thing to do? Well, these are paired and these are paired. And it might behoove me to go ahead and put this in because I don't know if these are going to be correct until I match them up. With the bottom. So let's see, if I turn this like so, you can see this matches up here, and this matches up here as well. And if I turn this like this all matches up. Okay, so we have our centers completely in. Now let's see if these edges map out. Okay, so this belongs up here, this does not. Because when I unghost it, this is okay. So what about this over here? Well, let's unghost this and see what belongs down here. As I'm turning this around, I'm seeing this doesn't really have a home, but this one does. Boom, right here, not this one. Okay, so what that tells me is this belongs up here. So let's bring it up there. Let us okay, let me make sure I'm doing this right. This is, oh, you know, I put this in ghost position, so right over here. I think so, yeah, okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I need to move this up to here. So I'm going to double turn, which takes my center out, but I'm going to move this into place, and now turn it back. Boom. Okay, now if this is correct, then I should be able to unghost this, and all these will line up. So this is lined up. Ooh, this is not lined up, which means this doesn't belong here. Let me see if there's something tricky here. Okay, so this belongs up here, but this does not. So let's see, if this doesn't belong up here and this doesn't, maybe this does. So double turn, and let's move this back in. Okay, yes, so you can see this lines up nice, this lines up nice, and just to prove a point, this is lining up here and this is lining up here. Okay, so we have these edges where they need to be. We have the centers where they need to be. So we know that it's coordinated correctly. Now let's see if I can find out. Okay, there's the unbandaged part. Okay, so now I want to deal with these edges over here, and it's more difficult because it's harder to visualize. These two are in, so they're good. I don't know if they belong up here or not, probably not. These two are not and these two are not. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to try to match some of these up. Now, here's the thing. This is the same situation because two edges are in and the rest are not paired. Here, these two are paired. They're not where they need to be, but at least I know they're paired. So this particular situation is called a brick parity. And there is a particularly long and somewhat annoying algorithm to get it out. Now normally what I do is I start matching these to these edges. And I suppose I could do that with this puzzle as well. So when I see this over here, this belongs here. We do the U or F to U, to R, to F, to U, to U, to F, to R, to U. So that's paired over here. To do something similar, I would have to decide where does this go? Well, does this belong with these edges? So let me just move this up, and the answer is no. Does it belong with these edges here? And maybe. So what that means is it's like these two need to be swapped, and it's the same kind of thing. So if I were to swap them, I'd hold this here and say to U, to R, to F, to U, and to F, to R, to U. Okay, so when I did that, it did swap these two, and you can see it lines up with this. My question is, what happened to U? Did this end up on the wrong side? Oh, you know what? It actually doesn't. So this does not belong up here by these two. I thought it did. How interesting. Oh, you know what? I had no proof that it did. I just assumed it. Okay, so maybe it belongs here, and it does. Okay. So live and learn. But that's the thing about these ghost cubes, is it's not very apparent. So this edge belongs here, next to these corners. So I'm going to turn this like so. Now something happened here. Look at my little my middle layer. This is all fine, and this is not. This got rotated. So now there's something about the algorithms that I use here that probably rotate the center here. But I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't care, because there's equivalency. There's something about that URF that not only moved here, these guys, it also moved this. And it rotated it so now it looks like it's out. If I take this and URF it down, whoops, careful. If I take this and I URF it here, so I swap these two, I suspect this will also rotate. And if it rotates, it'll get this back in. So perfect symmetry, but let's see what happens. Okay, gotta be very careful. Okay, let me make sure. It's having a hard time moving. So I'm going to swap these two. Okay, try going this way. All right. to U, to R, to F, to U, to U, and to F, to R, to U. Okay, as I suspected, it did swap this back, and now this is where it needs to be. So that's another hitch that I have to bear in mind. I would not have known that if I didn't suspect that, but doing this URF not only swaps these two, it rotates this. Something I would not have known or had been on my radar with a puzzle like this, that it would have swapped these two. So swapping these two also swaps this, which now has meaning. Oh, what did I do? Okay. So this is in. That's the equivalent of having this in. Just like this. So now we can try to put the others in. None of these are here, so I can move this white and red one here to U, to R, to F, to U, to U, to F, to R, to U. So this is the floppy parity. And it's going to be easier for me to visualize if I can make that happen. None of these are in and none of these are in. So what might go with what? Well, let's see. If I double turn here, this goes with this. Okay, so what that means to me is turning it like so. This will end up where it needs to be here. This won't, because this isn't matched up with this, but at least I'll have one. So okay, we're catching here on something. Okay, to U, to R, to F, to U, to U, and to F, to R, to U. Okay. So a couple things happened that I had predicted. This is in, which is good. This came in too, which is also good, but this sender got flipped. But let's take a look. Let's ignore this for now, and let's take kind of take heed of what we've got. Okay, what I see is none of these are in. Both of these are in. One of these are in, and one of these are in. Which means I have to do another URF, and the question is which? Do I swap it with these two, or do I swap it with these two? Either way, I've got to get at least one into here. So which one belongs? Well, is it this one? Let me see. This one belongs here. Okay, so what that means is if I swap that, it'll take this out. And this belongs here too. Okay, good. All right, believe it or not, this is going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this, again very carefully. There's tiny screws in these. And now I'm going to do this algorithm again, which will get this back, and we'll put at least one edge where it needs to be here and one edge where it needs to be here, whereas right now we have none. Okay, to U, to R, to F, to U, to U, to F, to R, to U. Okay, predictably it got this back, which is good. So we have one edge that's in between these corners. All of this is in, one of this is in, and one of this is in. So this is the dreaded brick parity. And I have it in a ghost of all things. So how do I get out of this? Well, I first set it up to see, is this a right side or a left side? Well, this yellow and orange goes here, so it's a right side. This is going to go back here, and this is going to go here. So the way that this is going to work on the right-sided version is we're going to start off with a 2F, then we're going to do a U, 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L. Then we do a 2F, and then we pull the center one over here, and another 2F. Then we completely reverse what we did. 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI, double turn, move this in, and it's done. So that was a algorithm I had to work on a long time ago. So let's do something like this. Now what belongs where? Well, the two that are in is here, so it's going to be one of these guys here. And I lay odds, I think this is going to go here, this is going to go here, and this is going to go here. Just to be absolutely sure, let me just kind of place this in here to see if that's the case. And that is not the case. Yeah, so that doesn't go there. So maybe this goes here. Well, let's see. Does this go here? So let me double turn this, like so. And turn this here. So nope, it doesn't. Okay, so now I know that for sure. Double turn this here. Okay, so this doesn't go here, which means this, well, does this go there? Let's see. Yep, it was easier than I thought. So this is going to go to here. So if this goes to here, rather, right? Yeah, okay. So this is going to go here, which means this is going to go here. Oh, so this goes here. That's the ticket. All right, so let me be sure of that. Let me double turn this. Yep, okay. My day wouldn't be complete if I didn't confuse myself at least 3 times. This was 3 of those times. Double turn this here. Okay, so this is going to go here. This is going to go here, and this is going to go here. And just to prove that, boom. All right. So that means I'm going to have to turn this twice. 1, 2. So to complete this algorithm, this is on the left side and not on the right side. So I have to invert what I did if it's a left-sided algorithm. Okay, so we're going to start with the same. It's going to be 2F. Make sure I'm totally lined up here. 2F. All right, a little nervous. Instead of U, it's going to be a UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R. Okay, now we do a 2F, and I should be able to just move this inner layer here. Good, I can. 1, 2. Okay, 2L. So that's a 2F, 2L, then move it on back with a 2F. Now let's reverse what we just did, which is a 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L, U. Now we're going to do a 2F. Doesn't look like it's almost done, does it? 2F, and then we'll take this middle one here and do splat. And look at that, it did it. Can't believe I remembered that one. So now we simply turn this in. Bang and clunk and done. We did it. We conquered the jade 2x3x4, so that was pretty good, but bear in mind this was the easiest one. This was the one that was easiest to visualize in conjunction with this puzzle over here. The main tricks are the fact that we now have an equivalency of rotation and translation, so these centers are not equivalent to each other, and that there was a change that happened with an algorithm here that did not seem to change over here, and that had to do with the center rotation. Otherwise, followed along pretty well. We just had to kind of do it in the dark as a ghost does things, because we couldn't really correlate one layer with the other. We just had to isolate the layers and then put them in the ghost form. Alright, we will put this one back and go for the next one later, which is this guy over here, the quote-unquote Hell's version. Anyway, thanks for watching. More on this later.